Again.
Good evening, TC,
Good evening, everyone.
and welcome all to our weekly podcast, Terry Curran's Curran View with the Idle of Hillsborough, Mr. Terry Curran. Steady away, TC, a bit different today. It is our 150th, our 149th together, because the first Curran View you did it with Chris.
Yes,
God,
yes, I did.
yeah.
That's right. I just can't believe this is our 150th. Time just absolutely flies by.
Absolutely, and I'm in Chris's studio today. I've got no heat, I've got no bed, no cat, no TV, but at least I can look at you, T, and we're going to chew the fat over football like we always do every week. Magic moments, what have you sourced for us? Again, it's been a cracker.
Listen, you can go down to the Conference League, and there's absolutely some sublime goals there. I
Yeah.
mean, I was going to pick both of your two goals, what you liked. I thought, well, it's not fair because, I mean, I looked at that Santos and that Nuno Santos for Sporting and his Rabina.
Yes.
And then I looked at May's goal, which is well, both of them are just incredible. I thought, well, I'm not going to nick them. I'll let you talk your way through them. I've gone for the Odegaard goal for Arsenal at Fulham.
Yeah.
Pulls it down on his knee. What gives him time is the control, and then it gives him space because he just knocked it into the right thing. And he's playing outstanding for Arsenal. I mean, they got him from Real Madrid, and Tom said to me, "This kid's going to be a hell of a player." But now he's settled in, and Arsenal playing really well. They look a great team at the moment in time, Arsenal.
How good is Odegaard? Because when they bought him, I remember specifically these pundits saying, "Oh, he ain't going to fit into the English game. He's a little bit lightweight." But what a player! What a left foot! It reminds me very much in the same way as what Liam Brady done for Arsenal with that left foot.
Well,
Awesome.
he hasn't half turned them round. I mean,
Yeah.
especially he was under a lot of pressure. Yet he won the FA Cup in his first season, and that's his first job. He didn't get a big club; he got one of the major clubs in the Premier League in Arsenal. Wins trophies. I mean, he was bought by Real Madrid as the next wonder boy. But when you've got Real Madrid, you've got that many top players. He was only a kid. Sometimes it is hard to break into it, but he's come to Arsenal and he's now looking the player that Real Madrid were expected. But when you've got that touch as a player, what happens then is people then know that you're not going to. I mean, if you haven't got a great touch, then your second touch is a tackle.
Yeah.
And players like him, have got that sublime touch. It gives them time, space, but it all helps when you're playing in a team. And I mean, they hit that little blip, but it was only a little blip. It weren't for 4 or 5 weeks, was it? And now they've turned it round, and I still think Manchester City is going to win it, but they're going to have to kick on because at the end of the day, Arsenal are matching them toe for toe, and they're 5 points clear at this moment in time.
His first touch is in his head, isn't he, Odegaard? He looks at the picture, he knows where he wants to play the ball, he can pick out a nice simple pass, he likes to play that risky pass, and the way that he's just his balance and his weight is on that right, and he just whips that left foot round and puts the ball through. And I've seen him do that on a number of occasions this season. I think for me, he is the best player, or the player that I've enjoyed watching the most in the Premier League this season. I think he's an absolute genial type of player, and I can almost see them cogs ticking around in his brain when he gets on the pitch. I think, therefore, I play. He's that kind of footballer for me.
He's getting now on a par with Kevin De Bruyne at
Yeah,
Manchester City. And when you get midfield players, what can spread that killer pass through, and you're right, what you're saying there is the great players, they see two or three passes in front of them, and to see the space where they can squeeze that ball through with the right weight of that pass. I mean, no disrespect to pundits, some of them have been great players. But I do see why they don't make good managers or great managers, because they don't think outside the box. I mean, I watched our training over the years, and that's still not changed. It's still not changed one little bit. We put the emphasis on working hard and giving 100%, where the Continentals, the South Americans, they look on technical ability,
Yeah.
right, and taking a risk, But then you have to balance up the team itself. The team has to be balanced. And on top of that, what you've got to have is the players, what can open the door, but at the same time, they've got to be able to close spaces down when they haven't got the ball and read the game. And when you look at all the elite managers, that's what they do. I mean, people go on about coaching. I go on about coaching and look at it. But at the end of the day, when you're signing these type of players, they've already got the ability. What you've got to do is get the balance of the team right and say, right, this is how we're going to play. This is what we're going to do when we haven't got the ball. And when we've got the ball, go and express yourselves.
Absolutely. My magic moments, it is Cheltenham, by the way, this week. Have you had a flutter? Do you like the horses? I know you like the greyhounds.
Yeah, I do like the horses. Have I had a flutter? No. Two people asked me for a tip. Ran second. Fast or slow, I gave it yesterday. My friend Lee, who I interact with, a Portsmouth fan, and Danny, is it Dewhurst? He's in Australia. He said, have you got anything for Cheltenham? So I had a look, which was yesterday. But I've been running about today. I took my brother to pick a car up today. So I've been running about majority of the day.
Well, we're on about Cheltenham. The greatest thing I've seen at Cheltenham this week is Alpha May's goal. I mean, he scored a brace the weekend, but that second goal where he's got the ball, the fullback...
I'm going to interrupt you, but if that had been Messi or Ronaldo or Pelé or George Best or Zidane, because that's how good it was.
Or a Premier League player.
Yeah, but they still wouldn't have got that recognition like with Messi and all them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. We see lots of Premier League goals, and from the bottom half of the table. But if that was any of them that had been showing that goal week in, week out for the next 5 or 6 months, that's how good a goal it was.
And the technique. I mean, he's got the ball. He's hit it up, and he's seen the keeper, and then with his other foot, he's just lobbed him. Tremendous vision.
You have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I just thought it was an amazing, skillful bit of improvisation as well. Because when you're that deep and you're just about in your opponent's half, to get your head up and see what the goalkeeper's doing.
It's halfway line.
Absolutely. And control it and do what he done. I thought it was fantastic. Kai Havertz's goal for Chelsea against Leicester City. I love the little loop pass by Fernandes. And again, Kai Havertz, we spoke about him on the last podcast. I think he's a tremendous footballer. He's got everything in his game. Just needs that little bit of confidence, scoring a few goals. Chelsea have won a few games now, back to back. Chelsea could have a decent run in towards the end of the season now. Who knows, they might even get in the Champions League final.
Is this the time that he's going to, he's got the goal. Now, will he, because sometimes when they haven't scored these players, they go on a run.
Yeah.
Because I'm like you, the kid looks a great player, but he's taken a bit of stick because, he has missed a lot of chances. We can't stick up for him. At that level, you've got to be taking your chances. And at that level, those great players usually do.
Joe Felix is another one.
But there's been a lot of turmoil. When I say turmoil, a lot of changes, haven't there? Selling the club, new owners coming in, new manager coming in. So it does take time. We have to give him a little bit of time. And I'm like you, I hope Graham Potter can succeed, because I want to see a successful English manager.
Absolutely. Joe Felix, I mean, he in front of goal, he hits the post, he's been so unlucky. Chelsea just need to find that, and as I say, they have won a few games now back to back. They've found those wins, they've found the formula to win. When you look at their best 11, that Chelsea best 11 is as good as anything in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what they've done a big turnaround with players. When I said turnaround, they fetched a lot of players in, and yes, they should be able to blend in, but the manager's got to get the balance of the team right. And look at them when they do play well. They look a hell of a team, like you just said. They've got to do something this season. They must stay in that Champions League spot. Because at the end of the day, you can lose out on the big name players because everybody wants to play in the Champions League, as you know. But they are looking something like Chelsea of old.
Absolutely, but my magic moment, and I can't pronounce the kid's name, is the Georgian international that plays for Napoli. His first name begins with a K, and his second name begins with a K, and I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce it. But my word, what a player. And that goal, if you watch that goal again, he beats 4 players. He turns them one way, turns them the other way. He sits them all on the backsides. And the first one nearest the goalkeeper, he slid that far. He needed to pay to get back into the ground, T.
Gabby, I mean, we spoke about this. I interacted with Alan Hudson. I'm on about his son, Alan.
Yeah.
And they were on about the defending with Tottenham, Sheffield United and Tottenham. I don't give a damn how good a defender you are, Bobby Moore, whoever you are. Once that player drops that shoulder, it makes you commit, right? So when you see that type of goal and the technique of it, it doesn't have to get the fans off the seats. I mean, in our day, my day, they were standing anyway. But when you see that, that's what the fans want to come and see, don't they? They want to see people beat people. They want to see spectacular goals. And by the way, with having the TV cameras up down the country, all over the world, to see these goals, it's brilliant to be able to see it. That's what I do like about the modern day football now.
And also what I like to see too is when I see players like that, I'll watch them again. So when Napoli are playing, I'll turn it on and I'll watch Napoli because I think this fella is absolutely top draw. I'd love to see him play in England. The Italians have got a big problem that they want to see the best players playing in Italy, but the money is in England, and who knows, it will be a tremendous signing for someone, probably Chelsea.
I do like a lot of Italian players, but I've never liked Italian football.
No.
World Cup I watch
Georgian.
it, but it's just no. I know what I'm going to say to you is they do play defensive football, but this manager at Napoli, they play some great football.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they absolutely destroyed Liverpool in the knockout rounds. So I mean, Liverpool got the revenge back at Anfield, but they're a good team. Is this Napoli? Don't underestimate them.
And it's a horrible place to go. Again, Napoli, a great. I think they've had a great season.
It's one of those grounds where when you go to places like Millwall, but we're talking about a massive club, but there's a lot of hostility there with fans, and then that's not knocking Millwall. It's an intimidating place to play at, especially at the old ground at the Den.
Yeah,
and Napoli's the same. It's an intimidating ground to go to, and they're a good footballing team. I don't mind watching them.
Yeah, again, Chelsea, Napoli, Manchester City, Bayern Munich could end up that those are the 4 semi-finalists in this season's Champions League.
Well, don't underestimate Real Madrid.
Again, Madrid, playing against Liverpool tonight, 5-2 at Anfield. I mean, again, flying.
They were 2-0 up, and they had Liverpool at half time.
Yeah.
I know, but it was incredible how they turned it round. And
phenomenal.
But for 20
again,
minutes,
football.
50, yes, exactly. I mean, I hear a lot of people say, why did they sit back? No, when you're losing, the teams come out and want to, try and get an equaliser. And then they fall into the doldrums of it, But Liverpool have been up down this season, haven't they?
I think it's incredible. I mean, they beat Manchester United by 7, and then they go to Bournemouth and get beat. Currently tonight, they're playing against Real Madrid. I haven't got a TV. I'm in Chrissy's studio. I've got, as I said at the top of the show, I've got no heat, no TV, no cat, no bed, no nothing.
I'll keep you informed.
Thanks, Steve. But I actually can't see Liverpool getting anything from this game tonight. It's a tall ask. I mean, it'd be like trying to climb Mount Everest without any climbing gear. I think that's how bad and how difficult a challenge it is for Liverpool last night. What was a very easy challenge last night, which I thought might be a difficult one, was Manchester City playing against Leipzig, RB Leipzig, who were on a decent run of form themselves. Manchester City just absolutely blew them away. And Erling Haaland, I don't know what they fed him on before the game, perhaps raw steak.
Listen, that result and that performance last night was as good as I've ever seen Manchester City playing. I've seen the players from great football under Pep Guardiola. They do have great players, but they're a half decent team is Leipzig, and they've just made them look. I mean, they would have. If you would have known how decent a team they are that Leipzig, you'd have thought, what are these doing in Champions League? Yeah. But Manchester City, it just destroyed them. It's like that Liverpool game against Manchester United. When you look at that, United first half didn't look bad. They looked confident. They looked as though they could. Well, they looked as though they were going to go in at half time winning. And then second half, Liverpool were brilliant. United were poor, but you can say Leipzig were poor, but absolutely City last night were electrifying. Brilliant to watch. And the atmosphere last night there, the sound coming back from the TV were unbelievable.
And it looked as though the Man City fans now are embracing the Champions League because they haven't had the best runs in the Champions League. I don't mean City, but the fans, there's always been a little bit about anti-Europe and things that are going on, and still currently going on with Europe and Manchester City. But they were in full voice. They were even doing the Poznan, and Kevin De Bruyne, I thought, was absolutely sublime. It's not often that a player will score 5 goals in a game, yet another player is man of the match. And I know they give it to Haaland, but for me, Kevin De Bruyne was man of the match last night. Thought he was fabulous.
Oh, I mean, he was back to his best last night. Yeah. I mean, he's had a kick up the backside through Pep Guardiola. He said, I've never seen Kevin give the ball away as much, but it was bang on last night. He was sublime, but you're right. I've never seen that when somebody scores 5 goals, they doesn't get man of the match.
And also, like, the whole of the team. I mean, again, I posted up last night, some people actually do believe Man City are better without Haaland. I absolutely can't believe that.
Go on, sorry.
No, I just think the kid is absolutely phenomenal. I get it that he's not the greatest of actual technical ball-playing central strikers, but that kid's frightening. He's 6'4", 6'5", built like a brick outhouse. He puts so much effort into everything that he does.
His pace and all for size of
frightening.
It is frightening. But let's go back to what you were saying there about is City a better team? Right.
Yes.
When you look at it, they have been a bit different, but they still managed to be going to a quarter-final now of a Champions League, second into Premier League, and still in the FA Cup. So they're going for 3 things again this season. Now, they're the same pundits, right? What are saying, if they signed Haaland, they need to sign Haaland because they're one dimension. If they signed Haaland, they'll win everything. They soon don't have changed their mind. Yeah. And these are great. These have been great players. I always revert back to David Silva. Too small, not strong enough, and then all of a sudden, what a wonderful player David Silva was for Manchester City. And he got all the accolades. That's why we're no good at management.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's something radically wrong with them. What they're not seeing, I don't know. They want to go on effort, and 100%, that type of thing. And I'm thinking, you've got to if you don't work to get the ball back when you haven't got it, you'll come croppers, right? But if you don't give the ball away, like City don't give it away, but I've not seen Haaland play bad. Every team, whoever they are, every team have a little blip.
Yeah.
But Arsenal are playing exceptionally well this season. That's why they're top of the league. And they have to play exceptionally well because this Manchester City team is the best in Europe. It's one of the best in Europe, if not the best in Europe.
Manchester City versus world champions Argentina. Who wins? My money be on Man City.
Man City.
Yeah.
And not because it's I just said Manchester City.
Yeah. For me, they're the best team in the world. I think they're absolutely amazing. Last night, superb, 7-0. What a way to get into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Book Corner TC in association with myfootballbooks.com. The first book that I want to talk about tonight. 3 games in May and a 20-year odyssey that defined Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United by Rob Carlos. I've done a podcast with Rob. It is out on all the socials from today, so you can access it on all the usual Apple, Spotify, etc, etc. But again, the treble. I think Man City will win the treble this season. Manchester United in the 1998-99 season won the treble. But for me, they didn't win the league before that season in 97. It was Arsenal that won the league. So they went into the Champions League, but they wasn't actually champions. So what I'm saying is, in old money, they wouldn't have been in the European Cup. So when the European Cup teams, they win the treble, for me, that's the proper treble. But a great achievement, and the only English team so far that's done it. I'm hoping Man City can emulate it. But your memories of Sir Alex Ferguson and those, particularly those 3 games in May, won the league, won the FA Cup, and then beat Bayern Munich.
Well, I backed Man United to win to European Cup, but I threw my ticket away.
Yeah, you would do.
When Teddy Sheringham and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer scored both goals. But by the way, they didn't play particularly well that night, and Bayern Munich were the better team. But they got the result. I mean, what can you say about Alex Ferguson? He's won every mortal thing, and I don't want to put a downer on it. But that Barcelona team, when they played Man United at Wembley, the season before, was it? Or season after, I'm not quite sure now.
Yeah. A few seasons
and when I saw that Barcelona team destroy a Man United team as good as I've seen a Man United team, it just shows you how good they were. But Alex Ferguson didn't do it with one team. He did it with about 5 or 6, 7 teams. He kept producing and played some great football. People go on. I mean, they go on about Man United because it's a massive club, supporters from all around the world, and I get frustrated about all that with people. But to do what he did with those type of teams, keep producing, season in and season out. Yeah, they drop off and then go, but they didn't go off for that period of time since Ferguson's left him. He's produced some great teams, some great players, and had some great players. Van Nistelrooy's, Giggs, your Beckhams, Ronaldo's. Stamp. You can go on, Roy Keane's. It's incredible what he's done at Man United. Me, I'm a big, massive Clough fan, but he outdoes Clough because the trophies he's won. It's incredible, but Cloughy did it with 2 small clubs as such. Absolutely. Whereas Sir Alex did it with one of the biggest clubs in the world. I
mean, it's still difficult to do one of the biggest clubs in the world because, as you say,
everybody wants to beat you.
Absolutely.
Don't forget.
And since Ferguson's left, Manchester United haven't been anywhere near the levels that they were under Sir Alex Ferguson. So it still is very difficult, and it takes a special man. And this book looks at the influence of Sir Alex Ferguson. Yes, for sure, it's about the treble and those 3 games in May, plus the season as a whole. But Rob goes back and talks to supporters, the supporters' influence and contributions in the book. So, tremendous book, a must for all Manchester United supporters, certainly of a certain age. But I'd like to say also a book that would interest football fans of other clubs. 3 games in May by Rob Carlos. Second in the trilogy, Dutch Masters, when Ajax Total Football conquered Europe by Gary Thacker. I've done a podcast with Gary, and that will be coming out within the next couple of days. But Ajax in the 70s, again, what a team.
When you take Ajax to win a treble at European Cups, what a team as small as it may be just a little bit more populated than Scotland, but to do that and to keep producing the players they produce,
Yeah.
their football is absolutely how they produce. And that team of Ajax in what was that? 70, what was it? What?
71, 72,
72,
73, they won
73,
the European
74.
Cups.
Because
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at the Ajax, the Dutch team, what got beat by Germany 74. Total football. I mean, we expect total football now from Holland, when we always expected it from Brazil, when we saw Brazil's in World Cups. But it's incredible, absolutely incredible. Burnley's gone one up, Sunderland's gone one up. So going to be interesting for Sheffield United with Middlesbrough, isn't it?
Absolutely, and what happens in this silly season? The bottle starts, down it, and they're playing fear football, and when earlier in the season you'd got results. At the moment, some of the teams are just not quite getting it over the line. But the Dutch team in the early 70s, Ajax did, and what makes it even more remarkable too. It was when Rinus Michels took over. I think it was early 60s. I think it may have been 1963 when Michels walked in there. They were a part-time side. They wasn't a professional football team. Pete Kaiser was the first professional footballer to play for Ajax. Johan Cruyff was the second. He absolutely transformed it. They got to the European Cup final in 1969 and got beat 4-1 by the great AC Milan side. 2 years after, they were back. They were playing at Wembley. They beat a good Panathinaikos team. They still talk about that team in Greek. The great Ferenc Puskas was their manager, and then went on to win back-to-backs. But not just back-to-back, free on the spin. They won it in the backyard of their biggest and most fiercest rivals, Feyenoord, when they put Inter Milan to the sword. 2-goal brace from Johan Cruyff. 73 after that, they played in Belgrade against Juventus. Johnny Rep scored the winning goal. And after that, Johan Cruyff left. He went to join Michels at Barcelona. But a fantastic route, some great contributions, including the great Rudy Kroll has contributed to this book by Gary Thacker. So it will be in my library, and it's a must read.
We have spoke about the Dutch and the total football. When they did it, they did it with absolutely beautiful football, And we're going about Michels, right? I mean, Beckenbauer did it at Bayern Munich and won a World Cup with Germany. But Cruyff, is football, and then to go into management and produce the football he did as a manager, because they all go about top players don't always make. But he left a legacy as a player, and he left a legacy as a manager. And that legacy, Michels, Cruyff will have gone with Michels' way of playing football, and Pep Guardiola learned so much, and he'll tell you he learned so much from Cruyff that he went down that route. And I've seen things where Guardiola in Barcelona, there were little bits put up on walls. We don't want anyone under 6 foot. And when Cruyff come in, he took that down. Cruyff always said, if you're big enough, you're good enough. And if you're good enough, then you play. And that's the difference why these type of players not only were great players, they went on to be great managers. There's something radically wrong with our managers why we're not going on to become great managers when they played under great managers and being great players themselves.
It's quite incredible, isn't it? And third is...
Excuse me.
Old Liverpool FC in colour, The Rise of the Reds, like you've never seen before, by Gary Chilvers and Mark Platt. A fantastic pictorial book. And Andy always gives us an on this day, and it's quite relevant today, because on this day, the 15th of March, 1892, club founder John Holding split from Everton Football Club and decided to create a new football team to play at his Anfield ground. The book delves deep into the archives to shed new life on a fascinating narrative, one that brought to life through the expert colorisation of 130 stunning photographs of Liverpool. So again, very historical, very relevant, and I didn't realise that it was this day that Liverpool were formed.
When we look at Liverpool and what Shankly achieved, it was incredible. And then he walks out, retired. Bob Paisley goes on and wins 3 not Champions League, European Cups.
Yeah.
You know, I think it bugged Bill Shankly to his dying day that, you know, he didn't go on, because that team he left was still an absolutely unbelievable team. You know, so we have to give Liverpool or Shanks the credit for what he built there. I know we're a bigger nation than Holland, but Liverpool plays some great football under Shankly.
Absolutely. I mean, Liverpool, one of the great teams. And also, aside, I know there's always the comparison, who's the biggest, and I'm not bothered who's the biggest, who's the best. Liverpool and Manchester United, by far and away, the 2 biggest clubs in this country. But Liverpool, look at the amount of, what is it now? Is it 5 European Cups that they've won? I know some of them are Champions Leagues. But
how do you
period,
define biggest? By winning the most trophies or what? But when you talk about the biggest club, when I talk about the biggest club, the biggest supporter club, and Man United, regardless whether from Manchester or not, they are the biggest club. You know, I'm not saying they're the biggest club in the world, because Barcelona get over 100,000 people in their ground. But it's in England, Manchester United are the biggest supporter club. 72,000 week in and week out, or every other week when they're at home.
Absolutely phenomenal. Strange but true, TC. We always have a delve into the strange but true category. During the 1932-33 season, in addition to greyhound racing, Scottish second division club Kings Park held cheetah racing until they were prohibited to do so by the Scottish FA. I mean, cheetah racing. How many cheetahs were involved in that, I don't know, but you'd be terrified as a fan, wouldn't you?
Listen, we learn some astonishing things on here from you, because where you come up with these from, or how do you must do a lot of reading to find out about these type of things, because you don't have to bring some great facts into this conversation. Cheetah racing, you wouldn't have even thought about cheetah racing, would you? And to say it happened, you know, you find it incredible, because how do you get cheetahs to race?
Exactly. What are they chasing? I know the greyhounds, they chase a hare, don't they? What are you going to have with the cheetah chasing it? And to be fair, I mean, they go at about 70 mile an hour.
Haggis?
I don't know what you'd have. I don't know what you'd have, but, you know, it did stop pretty much, I think, as quickly as it started. And you got to think, well, who comes up with the idea? You know, we've had greyhounds, how can we spruce it up here? How about having leopards or cheetahs racing round around? How about not? But they certainly did. But greyhound racing, a love of yours, because you owned a greyhound, and a lovely little story. Let's just talk about the story with Zico when he was on the treatment table.
Oh, Mel, well, Jack knew I'd had greyhound, so he said, shall we get a greyhound? I said, oh, he said, me, you and Andy McCulloch. So we all chipped in. We bought this dog called Spiral Please. Harry Crapper trained it down at Alton. And Harry phoned me up one day, he said, Terry, this dog needs a bit of infrared. Do you think you can get some down at the ground? The physio were called John. I forget what his second, not Orley, but his name was something like that. But his name was John. Anyway, I went down to the ground stadium, picked up the dog. And when I got back to ground, I've gone in and Mel Sterling's on the treatment table. So I said to John, I need this dog with some infrared. And Mel says, hang on a bit, I want to get this sorted out. I want to be playing on Saturday. I said, Mel, it's Tuesday. Right? I said, my dog's running on Friday. We want to get a bit of ultrasound to it. You'll be all right. So Mel had to jump off at bed and went to get himself a cup of tea. I had to put the dog on the treatment table, and we gave and John gave the dog some infrared, and then the dog ran on the Friday. Did it win? No. So I might as well not have taken it down to the ground and got the treatment for him. But Mel were always worried that he wouldn't be fit for Saturday, but he was fit and he would play. So it all turned out all right for Mel, but not for us.
And to be fair, Mal had a better performance than Spiral Please, didn't he? What did Jack say about it?
We paid 800 quid for that dog, around about 1980.
Did it run again too?
Well, we've had it a few times, but it got an injury, so we finished up selling it, And you know what Jack's like if he's not winning. He wanted to go down and punch Harry Clapper. So I said, Jack, just leave it. That dog's not good enough. Jack got it because he knew some people in Ireland.
Yeah.
So it was Jack who bought it. Well, we handed them chipped him. We paid £800 for it. So, but it was Jack who got the dog in a sense from Ireland.
Magic moments of
and I
Jack.
Didn't know Jack were into dogs.
I don't think he was after that, was he? He frightened him off. What didn't frighten Nigel Pearson off? They were.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, did you see it? They were in Transylvania, and apparently he was told that there might be werewolves. I think that's a bit far-fetched, to be fair, because I don't believe in werewolves. But I do believe in wolves, because I've watched Kevin Costner a few times. Great film, one of Woody's favourite films as well. But he still went out there, and he reckoned he gouged out the one wolf's eye and broke another wolf's chin with his fist. I mean, I'm not saying that he didn't, but I think it's a very far-fetched story, isn't it?
Imagine saying that today, and getting serious trouble today, wouldn't you know? But
where's the gaffer?
I mean, how would you? I mean, you know as well as I do, wolves hunt in packs.
Exactly.
I know what I'd have been. I know what I'd have been. Well, you wouldn't have been able to run away from it neither.
No.
So, but I'm not saying he didn't because I don't know. But it's something I wouldn't want to get myself involved with. Would you?
No, not at all. I mean, if I was in that hotel and I was going for a walk and I say, I wouldn't walk up there, there's wolves, I think, you know what, I think that's good advice. I wouldn't bother.
We had a keep fit trainer, our Tony Toms, and all lads, and anybody would work with Toms because he worked for cricket and all, county cricket. He was an ex-AS man. I could see Tomsy doing something like that because they'll know all the know-hows, won't you? Know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't mess around with a pack with wolves because, like I said, they hunt in packs, don't they?
Mm. And they can be quite vicious. I mean, like you've got hyenas who also hunt in packs, and they're like small little dogs.
Yeah, but
then wolves are huge.
They've got that funny laugh, so you've got a chance to get away from them.
Anyway, we seem to have the last laugh, Pearson, because he got back to the hotel to tell the tale of smashing a wolf with his fist and gouging out another wolf's eyes. Match of the day, T. We don't want to get too political. We never get too political. But there was more viewers with Gary Lineker and the pundits not on there than when they were on there. A salary of something like 1.3 million. BBC, taxpayers. We've been there before. For me, it should be the whole of the football leagues, and it should not be a promotional tool, a PR exercise for the world's greediest league, the Premier League. But they are back again this Saturday. I mean, absolutely pathetic, wasn't it?
Well, when I look at, I haven't watched Match of Day since the COVID. Yeah. And the BBC, I don't want to watch it at all. Like we don't want to get into politics side of it. But what I will say about all this is, I wouldn't have known it. There were over 500,000 people more watching Match of Day on Saturday night. So that does tell you something, right? I mean, I don't agree with Gary Lineker, and he'll probably not agree with what I say. And freedom of speech is freedom of speech, and what we can do, we can either turn it off or we can delete Gary Lineker or block Gary Lineker, or you can delete Terry Curran and block Terry Curran. But when he comes out with statements like he did with Britain's like Nazi Germany, then I didn't like that one little bit. Match of Day, I used to love it. But now I couldn't be bothered with it one little bit.
I think your old gaffer, Brian Clough, he always used to say, didn't he? Hey, less
Stop
of you
talk, yeah.
and more football.
Football.
And they got it. And there was what was it,
I
something
mean,
like 500,000 more viewers? Superb.
yeah, I would have known that, but we're on
Yeah.
Facebook and
Yeah, yeah.
everything like that. You know, when you look at it, we've got the BBC, which is our national TV, really. And when you take into account that we all pay for the license, or them who do have a license, and there'll be millions of people what pay for the license, and we're not seeing Grimsby or Northampton on
Absolutely.
match day.
Yeah.
You know, it's wrong because
It is.
little Northampton and little Grimsby and little Stevenage, right? We could see. Well, having said that, you know, not a lot of people want to pay for the Sky TV, do they? But wherever you are in this country, what city or town, or you know, you've got a football club.
Yep.
And why they can't be on once a month, you know, other teams up and down the country, there's something not right.
100%. And I would also, we've done this on the podcast many times, I'd like to see...
Where's the diversity in that?
Well, there isn't, is there?
No.
There is no diversity. I'd also like to see some games of historical content as well. And I think that Match of the Day is dated, and I think that they could change it around. And let's be honest, they could probably put Peppa Pig on there and have just as many viewers as what Gary Lineker has had. I don't like Gary because I don't like hypocritical people. Gary Lineker was very vocal about the World Cup being in Qatar and how it shouldn't be there. So... If he was a man of principle, like apparently he is, he should have just said that, look, through my principles and what my beliefs are, I'm not going to Qatar because I don't agree with it. And all of these people, the likes of Gary Neville as well, that's what they should have done and could have done, but they didn't. They went for the money. So whatever they say, whatever they tweet, they don't mean it. I sound like...
I didn't...
Who's that band in Manchester with Gary Barlow as a lead singer? I'm going into song now.
Take that.
But yeah, absolutely. Take that, Gary.
I mean, when you... I didn't mind Gary Lineker. I really... I thought he was a pleasant guy.
Yeah.
Until all this come on with this Nazi Germany, you know. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a bit. You can't say people died because of fighting the Germans, you know.
Yeah.
So... He has disappointed me. You know my feelings of COVID, whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. I'm entitled to my opinion of it, and I'll stand by whatever way it turned out. I stand by it because that's my principles. But can we all unite and get back together? Get rid of this new, because it's all been one type of a plan, and let's get back to people mixing with each other and. You know, we've been divided. Let's get back and let's unite and let's get back to some normality.
Yeah, let's get back to our old. But in terms of standing, all his cohorts stood with him. But I don't remember those same people with all this solidarity standing with Matt Letizia. So again, double standards and gross hypocrisy.
You know as well as I do.
Yeah.
You get that. I mean,
absolutely.
I do like what they did in a sense.
Yeah,
by somebody.
Yeah.
But I've been in football when I've had to say when other lads have said something, and then you talk, and then none of you back me up, right? Why didn't they stick up for Letizia? And Letizia did nothing wrong.
No.
All Letizia turned round. He said, "I'll talk about racism," but it was something to do with Black Lives Matter. And he said, "Black Lives Matter." He said, "No, I don't agree with that organisation." And nobody stuck up for him one little bit.
No.
Now, that disappoints me. That does disappoint me, that.
And again, all Matt has ever done through his socials is question things. And they didn't stand with Matt. They stood with Gary because, some of them are his friends. But a lot of the people were just covering their own backs and didn't want to do it because they thought that it wouldn't be good for their career, in my opinion.
For all we know,
absolutely,
it might have been planned by the BBC. You just don't know that.
We don't know. Pompey fan John Westwood banned for the 4th time this season. You know, the big Pompey fan with the hat and the belt.
Yeah.
4 times.
He has a bookshop. What's he got banned for?
Apparently, I think he was doing the new. He went into the ladies and he come out as a female. and the females in there didn't like it, but he said, I'm identifying as a woman. But he got banned.
But you see this, I mean, I can see the funny side of that.
I can as well, to be fair.
But what makes me laugh, these people walking into women's toilet, I'm a woman, I'm identifying myself as a woman.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women don't want the men in there.
Absolutely.
Right, and he does it as a joke, and he gets banned.
I know, it's crazy. It's a mad world.
This is what I'm saying. The rules are for one set of people.
Yep.
And it's got to stop before it gets really out of hand, all this.
100%. So he's been banned for the 4th time, which is nearly as many times as Casemiro has this season. 104 games, TC, in the World Cup of 2026. It's going to go on for 39 days, and we're going to have 6 games a day. I mean, when they talk about they're playing too much football, they keep reinventing and making these tournaments even bigger.
They're lying.
Of course they're lying.
They're lying.
Absolutely. It's ridiculous.
Right? Why haven't the Premier
days.
League managers, why haven't the Premier League clubs stepped in and said, no, this is not going to happen? Let me tell you something. Manchester City look like being in trouble for wrongful doings.
Yeah.
What did I tell you about this? Is this a plan for the breakaway to start? What crops up now? Barcelona with paying a referee association or something. Yeah. What did I tell you? There's more to all this than meets the eye. And regardless of what anybody says, I love football, right? You get sick of it now. It's on 7 days a week here in any
Yeah.
Now, to see that in a World Cup, 6 matches in a day, people will get fed up of that. I'll guarantee. They'll finish up killing parts of it.
It's saturation, isn't it? And also, I
think it'll leave this country. I really do. I think it'll either go to America or it'll go to the Far East, because that's where the money will be. I know it's come to England at the moment in time, but I think it's come to England for a purpose. You know, look at the golfers going out to Asia now, Dubai, whatever it is.
The live golf, yeah.
I think what will happen is that you'll see little things keep creeping in, and it is creeping in, just like it will take it away from us, the citizens, until you can't say anything nowadays practically, or you're in trouble.
But what you can say, T, about the World Cup, if there's going to be more games, there's going to be more teams, and there's going to be more dross, because there are only a certain amount of clubs and players worth watching. And I think you're right. I think it will be saturation. I don't know.
Why do they want the elites for the Champions League or the European? What's it called? Champions League, isn't it? That's right.
Yeah.
And then a World Cup. Want to put non-deplumed teams in?
Yeah, I know.
And if people are trying to say it, I'm telling you, a lot of these teams are non-deplumed teams. I mean, those early rounds. League rounds, they're absolutely boring to watch.
Yeah.
You might say, I don't watch the World Cup unless it's England, or European thing, unless it's England. But I don't watch the rest of it because half of it's boring to watch.
Absolutely. What isn't going to be boring to watch, T, is next Friday we're going to see Andy Gray. We're going to meet Andy. We've put Andy in the Legends Lounge this week. Andrew Mullen Gray, born on the 30th of November 1955 in Glasgow. 73 to 75, played for Dundee United. League games this is, 62, scoring 36 goals. Got his move to Aston Villa, 75 to 79. 113 league games for Aston Villa, 54 goals. Moved to Wolverhampton Wanderers, broke the British transfer record, 1.5 million, I believe, in 1979 to 1983. 133 games for Wolves, 38 goals. one of his most important goals, of course,
Forest?
the winning goal, against Nottingham Forest in the 1980 League Cup final. And then he moved up to Everton, 1983-85, 49 league games, 14 goals. You played with Andy up there at Everton. What kind of player was he? And great picture of you and Andy embracing after you set him up for winning his goals against Fortuna Sittard.
Fortuna Sittard, yeah.
Yeah.
Typical Andy goal, because yes, it was a good ball in, but not many people will do what Andy did. And it was a diving head that were about just a 2 foot off, maybe a foot off at ground, in between the goalkeeper and another player, and scored it. One of the bravest players you'll ever see. I mean, I saw Andy Gray, played against Andy Gray when he was playing at Villa. Looked at a hell of a prospect. Young player of the year, but player of the year in the same season.
Yeah.
But his injuries, when he came to Everton, he couldn't train. Not that he didn't want to train, he couldn't train.
Yeah.
I've got bad knees, and I used to get pain, but he walked with a like a limp then, and then came on a Saturday, and never ever let Everton down. You can see what a player he was, or he would have been, if it weren't for the injuries he had.
Because in them days as well, you had your medical records and you took it to the football club. I remember watching that documentary, and Andy was saying, I just got half him and threw him in the fire.
Well, in our days, a lot of players wouldn't have passed medical.
Yeah.
It was just that the manager wanted that player.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't happen today because, well, it's millions and millions of pounds, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But when you look at when Andy went to Villa, went to Wolves for a million and a half, whatever it was, because it was a world transfer record. If he'd have gone to Wolves with the injuries he had when he came to Everton, no way would he have passed the medical. Surely he would have had to have a full medical when you're going for that kind of money.
You would have thought so.
You can see what a player he was. And
absolutely.
Brave as a lion. Definitely one of them you wanted in your team, I guarantee you.
Went back to Villa.
And a natural goal scorer.
Absolutely. Went back to Villa 85-87. Played a further 54 games, scoring 5 goals. Went on loan to Notts County in 1987. Didn't score in 4 appearances. Then moved to West Bromwich Albion, where he played 35 games, scoring 10 goals. His beloved Glasgow Rangers, I believe he won the league there, didn't he? 14 games, 5 goals. And again, absolutely. And back to Cheltenham. We're back to Cheltenham with the races. 20 games, 7 goals. And in a 10-year period, played 20 games for Scotland, scoring 7 goals. The great Andy Gray. We're going to see Andy next week, next Friday, in Aston. So looking forward to that. He
played for Notts County and all, didn't he?
Yes, he was on loan at Notts County in 1987. Yeah, League One watch 2, you're looking good. The Owls are flying. 3 points clear of Plymouth, who are in second place, and you've got 2 games in hand. Ipswich Town, third place currently, 36-72, so they're 4 points behind Plymouth. Both vying for that automatic place, along with hopefully Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. And Barnsley, 2 games in hand on Ipswich, 6 points behind. Again, Barnsley still in the mix to get automatic places.
The 2 games in hand, Barnsley.
Yeah, they have,
What a great game that is on Tuesday. Both playing well. Sheffield Wednesday taking a bit of criticism, trying to kill the game off. But when I watch them, they look a well-organised, difficult team to break down. And to talk about Sheffield Wednesday, a lot of teams who Sheffield Wednesday play get the 2 banks of forward. This is going to be a good game on Tuesday. Not because I'm a massive Sheffield Wednesday fan. I do believe that Sheffield Wednesday will beat Barnsley. I really do. But Barnsley are playing well. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I fancy Wednesday to beat them.
And then Derby 36-64. Bolton, who you play Friday night, 37-63. And then currently Wickham 36-60 and Peterborough 36-57. Some great games the weekend. Derby are playing Fleetwood. Ipswich Town got a difficult game against Shrewsbury.
Some good
Plymouth,
teams in that league, isn't there?
yeah, it really is hotting up. And Wickham have got Barnsley. Again, that must be one of the matches of the day. And if it was match of the day in old money, my cameras would be at Wickham to look at that game against Barnsley. There's so much riding on League One. Teams trying it, and big teams. Sheffield Wednesday, massive team. Okay, Plymouth aren't a big team, but I can still get decent crowds and always have got decent crowds.
I guarantee you, Plymouth with Premier League, it'd be a sellout week in, week out.
I'm not sure what Owen Park holds these days,
Well,
but I bet they could get 30,000.
What I'm saying, it'd be a
Yeah.
sellout. I'll guarantee if they were in the Premier League, they'd have to extend the game because it's a well-supported club, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bolton's a very, very good club. You guarantee 25, 30,000 Premier League.
Right? Derby, Barnsley, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth. I think 6 great clubs there that would benefit the Championship and, as you say, benefit the Premier League. And it's great to see sides like that back into the big time. It's been too long since Sheffield Wednesday was playing top flight football, TC. So let's hope that come what may. And you got Derby last game of the season, haven't you? What's going on with the attendances? I see that the Newcastle game, there was too many fans in the one part of the Leppings Lane. They've reduced the attendance there by 1,000. But surely with all seats, don't you count the seats and then give the amount of seats to the away team? How does that happen where too many people turn up in an away end that's all seated? I don't get it these days.
You know as well as I do.
Don't get it.
There'd have been thousands of Newcastle fans come down without tickets wanting to get into the game, and so I'm not blaming them or anything. Yeah. But there's something come out about out of the Hillsborough disaster, which is coming to light. Now, if Sheffield Wednesday done something wrong, but and this is the big but. When you look at teams like Newcastle coming down there, you know that
Terry sound's gone off.
The fans without tickets.
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to get through to me.
I was going to say, your sound's going off a bit too.
So, and you know they're going to force their way into it. So, Newcastle shouldn't be doing it because we've had the disaster with Liverpool. We've had it with other clubs. We don't want to see that again, do we? And when you've got big clubs like Newcastle with the amount of fans they're going to bring down there, the Leppings Lane end is not big enough for that amount of fans to be in. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't Eddie Howe, by the way, was it? We having a go at Newcastle United or Staveley, but we are going to move on. But we are going to talk about Newcastle because Football Forecast, you won last week, TC. Correctly forecasting Everton versus Brentford. You nailed it 1-0. You got the result right for Spurs and Forest. West Bromwich Albion Huddersfield. Pompey versus Sheffield Wednesday. Oxford versus Derby. You didn't get Donny versus Wimbledon, and you didn't get Man United versus Southampton, but you did get me because you beat me. So 11-10 to you, mate.
And me half times I got up by Manchester City and they were drawing me. Could not believe it that Man City couldn't beat Crystal Palace at half time. And all the other half times were up.
Incredible.
And I had Everton at 9-4 to beat Brentford at half time.
But again, that's football, ain't it? And you know, you've only got 45 minutes, 90 minutes, over 90 minutes. How do you think Forest will fare against Newcastle Friday night? Same night as Sheffield Wednesday take on Bolton. But first we're going to look at Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle.
Is it the City Ground?
City Ground, yeah.
I'm going to go for a 1-0 Newcastle. And I hate to say it because Forest have be brought back into it. I still think Forest will get out of it. They're difficult to play at home. It's either a 1-1 draw this or a 1-0 Newcastle. I'm going to go for 1-0 Newcastle.
Well, I'm going to nick your other score. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Mine next up, Sheffield Wednesday versus Bolton. I'm going to go 2-0 to Sheffield Wednesday. How do you see this one going, T?
One 0 Wednesday.
You're 1-0 Wednesday. I'm 2-0 Wednesday. Southampton versus Tottenham Hotspur. What's your forecast for this one, pal?
Oh, it's me, is it?
Yeah, it's
3-0.
you.
3-0 Tottenham.
Yeah.
3-0 Tottenham.
I think
they're
it's going to
getting
be
beat tonight.
Southampton.
Yeah, they're getting beat tonight. So
Yeah, I think it's a tall ask. I'm going to go 2-0 away win for Tottenham. I can't see Southampton getting anything from that game. So 2-0 for me. Chelsea versus Everton, my shout. I'm going for a nice 3-0 for Chelsea. Not very nice, of course, if you're an Evertonian. But how do you see this one, T?
2-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea looks as though they've turned the corner. Scoring goals, it looks as though it's clicking into place. He's turning into a bit of a wizard, isn't he, that lad Potter? Millwall versus Huddersfield. You wouldn't want to go to the Den.
3-0. 3-0 Millwall.
3-0 Millwall. I can't see any result. Millwall don't score that many goals. I'm going to go 1-0 Millwall. Derby versus Fleetwood. I'm going for a 3-0 Derby. How do you see that one?
I'm going to go for a 5-0 Derby.
5-0 Derby. And finally, Salford versus Doncaster Rovers. Funny team, Donny, and they. Whenever we back them, they lose. Whenever we don't back them, they win.
They find it difficult to win at home. Salford. I'm going to go 2-0 Salford.
2-0 Salford. I'm going to go 1-1. So that brings us to the end of the podcast team. No Maverick Tales this week. It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure on our 150th birthday. No cakes. If we did and we got the candles, Chrissy's, well, you wouldn't have the police next door. You'd have Fireman Sam, wouldn't they?
Sorry, I forgot to tell you about the cakes.
Yeah, well, thanks for that.
No, they were really nice anyway. I had one for both of you.
Chris said he had one for both of us. It was very nice, and I think it was a fun and fancy.
Yeah, no worries. It was really nice.
We would have liked it. TC, thanks to you, love to you and yours, and we will reconvene next week, my son.
Okie dokie.
Yes, thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Gabby. Love to you and yours, and I hope you all get your results. You know we all can't get the right results, but good luck with your teams coming this weekend.
Absolutely. So till next time, guys, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Cheers, T.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.